Oh, okay.
This is no book. Who touches this? Touches a man. Is it night? Are we here alone? It is I you hold, and who holds you? I spring from the pages into your arms. I feel 100 realities in me that words are not yet formed to represent. Men like me will gradually get to be more and more numerous, and then the words will follow. Manly friendship, the unfolding word of the ages, a word of the modern, a word en masse, a word of faith that never balks. Password primeval, allowing me to speak in forbidden voices, stripping away veils. The words do not exist for me to write myself. So to write my life, I invent, trusting that when language is needed, the words will surely follow. You know, I find most men suffer a lack of language. The young men of these states are possessed of a wonderful tenacity of friendship, a passionate fondness for their friends, and always a manly readiness to make friends. But they possess remarkably few words for the friendly sentiments. Such words do not thrive here amongst the muscular classes where the real friendship is always freely found. There are words that the muscular classes rarely use, have an aversion for. They never give words to their most ardent friendships. And yet I believe that the main purport of these states is to found a superb friendship, exalté, previously unknown, because I believe that it waits and has been always waiting, latent in all men. Bellini, the finest in the world. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. Now, How is that for a great phrase? Barbaric yawp. You won't find yawp in Noah Webster. No, he goes right from yawning to yaws. Let's begin a poem. I like to start with lists, include everything, even make things up. Let me give you an example. Sometimes, with one I love, I fill myself with rage for fear I effuse unreturned love. But now, I think there is no unreturned love. The pay is certain, one way or another. Doubtless, I could not have perceived the universe or written one of my poems if I had not freely given myself to comrades, to love. Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. Love of comrades into our list. That's Greek. and Greek into our list. Let me make myself unmistakably clear. When I say Greek, I mean Greek like Aristotle and Achilles and Alexander the Great and Plato and Socrates and Sophocles. Greek like Apollo, Hercules, even Zeus. Gods and men, they all had male lovers. The ancient Greeks had language for men who loved men. Today, I say Greek, and my inner circle understands. I tell Emerson, we must find muscular words to make the literature of these states strong and limber, full of ease and passionate friendliness. A language applicable to men, not fond of women. Women, not fond of men. We must repeal that filthy law that silences sex and the body. Emerson laughs. Defy the Puritan Trinity, taboo, silence, non-existence. But I long to sing songs that I've not yet heard. So I invent, like adhesiveness. That's my invention. Well, not actually. Let's put it into the list, adhesiveness. I borrow it from phrenology, but I give it a new meaning. Here is adhesiveness. It is not previously fashioned. It is apropos. Do you know what it is as you pass to be loved by strangers? Do you know the talk of those turning eyeballs? These yearnings, why are they? These thoughts in the darkness, why are they? All this inventing when the Greeks already had language. But when I read of the brotherhood of lovers, how it was with them, how through life, through dangers, odium unchanging long and long, through youth, and through middle and old age, how unfaltering, how affectionate and faithful they were. Then I am pensive. I hastily put down the book and walk away, filled with the bitterest envy. I envy the ancient Greeks, their brotherhood of lovers, their world, their words. I inherit Greek, as a code word. And the miserable Latin phrase, peccatum illud horribile inter Christianos non nominandum. How many of you have studied Latin? Let me translate. I haven't either, but peccatum, sin. Illud horribile, so horrible. Inter Christianos, amongst Christians, non nominandum, not named. The sin so horrible that Christians do not speak its name. We English speakers fear talking about it, lest ideas spread to people who would not have had these ideas had they not heard our words. Sir William Blackstone says of sodomy, "The very mention is a disgrace to human nature." Listen to the silence. Who dares defy this? Jeremy Bentham writes, "I have been tormenting myself for years trying to find sufficient ground for the severity with which all European nations treat sodomy. I find none." Bravo, Jeremy Bentham. Brave thoughts. And written only one generation after Blackstone. Unfortunately, Mr. Bentham, you write these words, but you never publish them. Let's come back to this side of the pond for a lesson in American colonial history that perhaps your school skipped. Note the inability here of the Reverend Francis Higginson to find words for it. He's writing in his journal on board the ship Talbot as they sail for New England. "This day we examined 5 beastly sodomitical boys, which confessed their wickedness, not to be named. The fact was so foul, we reserved them to be punished by the governor when we came to New England. The governor sent the boys back to be punished in Old England, as the crime deserved. In Old England, they could be hanged for a crime that would not be named. New England was quick to catch up with Old, and Plymouth Colony was the first to institute the death penalty for peccatum illud horribile. New York, right on its heels, where Jan Creoli is found guilty of the crime of sodomy. What is the sentence, Your Honor? Choke him to death and burn his corpse to ashes. Each of the 13 colonies institutes the death penalty for non nominandum. When I was born on Long Island, just a few miles across the Sound in Connecticut, they still had the death penalty for it. North and South Carolina don't get rid of the death penalty for it until well after the Civil War. What to do? To hell with the Puritans and all their rules. I am naked by the 11th line of Leaves of Grass. Here. Count with me. I celebrate myself. And what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The Puritans would outlaw nude bathing, thereby making me illegal in my own poem. I denounce them, and I denounce the police of Brooklyn, who have been pouncing upon parties of young men, arresting them, carrying them off to the station houses for the frightful crime of bathing. And no better, that miserable wretch, the mayor of Camden, has forbidden the boys to bathe in the river. Something objectionable about stripping off their clothes and jumping in the water. Verdi, unsurpassed. Ha ha! Imagine, once they've outlawed nude bathing, the Puritans' righteousness when they go after sex. I learn how to hide things in plain sight. Yes, here it is. Loaf with me on the grass. I mind how we lay in June, such a transparent summer morning. You settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me and parted the shirt from my bosom bone and plunged your tongue to my bare, stripped heart and reached till you felt my beard and reached till you held my feet. I calculate what I can write and what I cannot write. How and even where I can write it, avoiding jail in Boston or execution in Charlotte. Edward Carpenter. Do you know him? Ever heard of him? Oh, too bad. One of the best. When I say men like me will get to be more and more numerous, Carpenter. We talk, writer to writer. I tell him, very few are in a position to seize what lies behind leaves of grass. It lies behind almost every line, but concealed, studiedly concealed. Some passages left purposely obscure. There's something in me furtive, like an old hen. You see a hen walking up and down a hedgerow, looking apparently quite unconcerned. Presently, she sees a concealed spot furtively lays an egg and comes away as though nothing has happened. That's how I feel writing Leaves of Grass. There are certain truths that it's necessary to envelop, to wrap up. Let me give you an example. I have a poem. Once I passed through a populous city. Now, in my notebook, in the original poem, there's a line. But now, of all that city, I remember only the man who wandered with me for love of me. But in the published poem, that line reads, "Yet now, of all that city, I remember only a woman." How would you explain that? Do you suppose it's my faulty memory? Or my fear? Or perhaps, more clever, un travesti? Or a countertenor? Or my publisher? All plausible explanations. I have something even more furtive. I will never publish this. Fierce wrestler. Do you keep your heaviest grip for the last? Will you sting me most, even at parting? Will you struggle even at the threshold with spasms more delicious than all before? Does it make you ache so to leave me? Do you wish to show that even what you did before was nothing to what you can do? Or have you and all the rest combined to see how much I can endure? Pass as you will. Take drops of my life, if that's what you're after. Only pass on to someone else, for I can contain you no longer. I held more than I thought. I did not think I was big enough for so much ecstasy, or that a touch could take it all out of me. How dare I criticize Bentham for not publishing his writing if I won't publish this? Very well. I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes, including a furtive wrestler, fierce man. No, wrestler and a furtive old hen. Yes, that's it. Multitudes, maybe those as well. Yes. Surviving is the art of learning how to write in code. Hide things and give clues at the same time. Like this. Among the men and women, the multitude, I perceive one, picking me out by secret and divine signs, acknowledging none else. Some are baffled, but that one is not. That one knows me. Lover and perfect equal. I meant that you should discover me so by my faint indirections. And I, when I meet you, mean to discover you by the like in you. Lover and perfect equal. Oh, I have some photographs here of my lovers. Would you like to see them? Yeah? Well, here's Harry Stafford. Yes, indeed, Harry Stafford. And Peter Doyle. Yep, that's me with Pete the Great. Yeah, and Warren Fitzinger and Bill Duckett. Both fine young men. Not really my lovers, but fine young men nonetheless. Alas, I have no photo of Fred Vaughn. But this botanical print, this is Calamus. Inspired by all my lovers, the Calamus poems. Yeah. When I heard at the close of the day how I'd been praised in the Capitol, still it was not a happy night for me that followed. When I caroused, nor when my favorite plans were accomplished, was I really happy. But the day when I rose at dawn from the bed of perfect health, electric, inhaling sweet breath, when I saw the full moon in the west grow pale in the morning light, when I wandered alone over the beach and undressing, bathed, laughing with the waters, and saw the sunrise, and when I thought how my friend, my lover, was coming, then, oh, I was happy. Each breath tasted sweeter, and all that day my food nourished me more, and the beautiful day passed well. And the next came with equal joy, and with the next at evening came my friend. And that night, while all was still, I heard the waters roll slowly, continually up the shores. I heard the hissing rustle of the liquid and sands as directed to me, whispering to congratulate me. For the friend I love lay sleeping by my side. In the stillness, his face was inclined towards me, while the moon's clear beam shone, and his arm lay lightly over my breast. And that night, I was happy. Calamus. Would you like another? You like this adhesiveness? Are you Greek? In paths untrodden, in the growth by margins of pond waters, escaped from the life that exhibits itself, clear to me that my soul, that the soul of the man I speak for, feeds, rejoices only in comrades. Here, by myself, away from the clank of the world, tallying and talked to by tongues aromatic. No longer abashed, for in this secluded spot, I can respond as I would not dare elsewhere. Resolved to sing no songs today, but those of manly attachment. I proceed for all who are or have been young men to tell the secret of my night and days, to celebrate the need of comrades. Comrade Peter, yes, my streetcar driver. My brother George is wounded in battle. I go to help. George recovers and moves on, but the need in Washington is so great, I stay. And I meet Peter Doyle. Let me give you the story of meeting Peter Doyle in Peter's words. You ask where I first meet him? Ah, 'tis a curious story. We feel to each other at once. I am a conductor. The night is very stormy. The storm is awful. Walt has his blanket. It's thrown round his shoulders. He seems like an old sea captain. It is a lonely night. So I think, I'll go in and talk with him. Something in me makes me do it, and something in him draws me that way. He says something in me has the same effect on him. Anyway, I go into the car. We are familiar at once. I put my hand on his knee. We understand. He does not get out at the end of the trip. In fact, goes all the way back with me. From that time on, we are the biggest sort of friends. Our moonlit walks, up and down the Potomac shores, over the perfect military roads, hard and smooth. Our trips together, Niagara, New York, Paliuto, Donizetti. The greatest pleasure. We begin so well. I was happy. But to be completely truthful, I was not always happy. My journal reminds me pursue her no more. Give up absolutely this feverish, fluctuating, useless, undignified pursuit of 16-4. No faltering, no seeing her or meeting her from this hour forth for life. Okay, now you're listening. You must be wondering, her? Who is she? And what is 16-4? She is Peter Doyle, is 16-4. Peter Doyle, P.D. When A is 1 and Z is 26, P.D. is 16-4. Why these puzzles? Why erase him and write her? Remember, I am furtive. The man becomes a woman. Peter, it is not to betray you. It's self-preservation. Preserve our lives. Preserve the leaves. I write with reference to being far better understood than I can possibly be now. I want to be remembered, not buried in some unmarked grave, my words forgotten, erased. Yes, I did. I erased you from my journal. Peter, but not from my heart. Forgive me, Peter. But lovers make up. We made up. You remember this? Remember this letter I write to you? Dear Pete, dear son, I can almost see you drowsing and nodding last Sunday, going home late at 7th Street, and I'm telling you something deep about the heavenly bodies. And in the midst of it all, I'd look around, find you fast asleep, your head on my shoulder, like a chunk of wood. An awful compliment to my lecturing powers. Good night, Pete. Good night, my darling son. Here's a kiss for you, dear boy, on the paper here. A good long one. I imagine you with your arm around my neck saying, good night, Walt. And me, good night, Pete. My love preserved for you in a letter. And yours preserved for me. Dear Walt, I keep all your letters. I have your raglan here. I now and then put it on, lay down, and think I'm in the old times. Then you are with me again. When I get it on and stretch out on the old sofa, I am very well contented. It is like Aladdin's lamp. I do not ever lose you for a minute, old man. You are always nearby. When I am in trouble, in a crisis, I ask myself, what would Walt have done under these circumstances? And whatever I decide you would have done, that I do. Pete, do you remember during my first spell of paralysis, you used to come to my garret room before you went on duty and make up my bed, enliven me, chat for an hour or so, or go out and get the medicines Dr. Drinkard ordered for me. As I get older, these lazy and listless fits grow stronger, frequenter. Then I don't do anything at all, especially just that I ought to do, like write to you. But I often think of you, son. Let that make it up. Do you remember when you were working the horse cars? I waited for you, coming home late, together. Do you remember, boy, at the 7th Street Market, chatting and eating those nice muskmelons? I have a little 3-room house for myself here in Camden. No, you must not be unhappy for my sake. I hope and trust things work out so that we may yet be with each other. No, at least from time to time. In the meanwhile, we must adapt ourselves to circumstances. Keep on, try to do right. Live the same square life you always have, and maintain as cheerful a heart as possible. Yes, I remember she died exactly 12 years and 1 day after my own mother. You buried her on your birthday, next to your brother in the Congressional Cemetery? You are a loyal son, Pete. The next day, you came to see me in Camden. I did not expect to see you so soon. But then what happened? No, you stopped coming by. When? Turned away? Ignore her. She is my housekeeper, not my guard dog. You are the only one who knows how to nurse me. Of course, because you love me. As for how things finally work out, Pete, let's leave that to the Almighty. The Almighty. Why don't I invite Pete to move in with me in Camden? Get rid of Mrs. Davis. Have the life together we've always wanted. What's to stop me? My ill health, the distance, the time. Oh, things faded with Peter. Still, it's good to know love. Even if a certain sense always comes crushing. One happiness I've missed. One friend and companion I have not made. Rossini. Italian saturates my life. All of my work, colored by a bel canto. A real musician, a philosopher musician, could put his finger on this anywhere in the text. I hear Alboni sing every time she appears in New York. "28 young men bathe by the shore. 28 young men, and all so friendly. 28 years of womanly life, and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides, handsome and richly dressed, after the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? Ah, the homeliest of them is beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? For I see you. You splash in the water there, yet stay stuck still in your room. Dancing and laughing along the beach came the 29th bather. The rest did not see her, but she saw them and loved them. The beards of the young men glistened with wet. It ran from their long hair. Little streams passed all over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. It descended tremblingly from their temples and ribs. The young men float on the backs. Their white bellies bulge to the sun. They do not ask who seizes fast to them. They do not know who puffs and declines with pendant and bending arch. They do not think whom they souse with spray. This painting could get you in a lot of trouble with Anthony Comstock and his pack of Methodist smut hounds. They would rather see you imprisoned or commit suicide before they would have you offend their Society for the Suppression of Vice sensibilities. Does anyone here know the artist responsible for this painting? Thomas Eakins, my good friend. Eakins is the only artist I know who can resist the temptation to see what he thinks ought to be rather than what is. Eakins sees the spirit, but does not make too much of it. And Eakins sees this flesh, but does not make a man all flesh, all of him body. Eakins errs a little, just a little, in the direction of the body. Now, this photograph, this painting, this portrait of me, all by Eakins. Yes, this series as well. You name it, zoetropes, cameras, painting, portraits, Tom does it. His last favor to me, he's agreed to be one of my pallbearers and carry these old bones to my tomb in Harley Cemetery. Tom likes to say that he paints naked women because a naked woman is the most beautiful thing there is, except a naked man. And that naked man, you maybe don't recognize him with his clothes off. Yes, that is Bill Duckett. He's also one of Tom's nude models. Now, nude models get Tom in a lot of trouble. One time, teaching, he snatches the loincloth off a model, a man, and there are women in class. He is forced to resign. Now, was it prudishness or professional jealousy? We may never know. You see, Tom's work is not appreciated by the artistes, the so-called professional elects. The people who like Tom's work best are those that have no artistic prejudices to interpose. But it also could be prudishness. I mean, we all get blasted by that. When I say father stuff, mother stuff, onanist, bare legs, belly, oh God, you might suppose I was citing some diabolical obscenity. Will the world ever get over its own indecencies? Take your clothes off. Take his clothes off. Paint naked bodies. Break the rules. Knowing Tom Eakins gives me courage. Yes. And reading Emerson gives me courage. Whosoever would be a man must be a nonconformist. America is a poem in our eyes, and it will not wait long for meters. Wait no longer, America. Meter be damned. 4th of July, I mail a copy of Leaves of Grass to Emerson. And this letter comes back. Dear Sir, Leaves of Grass, the most extraordinary piece of wit and wisdom that America has yet contributed. I give you joy of your free and brave thought. I have great joy in it. I find incomparable things said incomparably well. I greet you at the beginning of a great career. Simmering, 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 Emerson brings me to a boil. I republish Leaves of Grass, and on the spine I stamp in gold, I greet you at the beginning of a great career. R.W. Emerson. I include the whole letter in the back and my response to him and some new poems. Yes, there are those who say I should have asked him first. It did not sever our bond. In Boston, we discussed the next edition of Leaves of Grass. I have 2 new sections of poems. Some Calamus poems about Greek love, and the Children of Adam poems about man-woman love. Emerson thinks I should get rid of the Children of Adam poems. He has objections, neither moral nor literary, but with an eye toward my success. He thinks that the poems will sell, but for sex. I should eliminate certain objectionable poems. He offers absolutely no spiritual argument against the book. Give it a chance to be seen. That's his contention. But he does not see that if I cut the sex out, I might just as well cut everything out. The full scheme would no longer exist. It would be violated in its most sensitive spot. I need those man-woman love poems. I aim to embrace all sex, include everything. Sex. 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 Whether you sing a song or make a machine, go to the North Pole or love your mother, or build a house or black shoes, or anything at all. It's sex. Sex. Sex is the root of it all. Sex, the coming together of men and women. Sex. Sex always imminent. Here with us, discredited, not suffered, rejected from our art, but still, sex. The root of all roots. The life below the life. It's the thing in my work that has excited the roundest opposition, the sharpest venom, slander from those who consider themselves custodians of the morals of the world. Emerson understands. I mean, he's the one that coined the Puritan Trinity: taboo, silence, non-existence. He asked me once, do you fear now and then that your freedom, your ease, your nonchalance with men will be misunderstood? Did you misunderstand it? No. I see it for what it is. It's beautiful. Well, that's what he said. You know, I remember Emerson at Pfaff's on Broad. No, it was at the Fireman's Hall. First time he visits me in New York. Many a man caught his eye there. It reminded him of his young friend Martin Gay, distracting him. Emerson is Greek. And so is our friend Thoreau. Yes, Henry David Thoreau, civil disobedience, break the rules. Don't take my word for it. read his journals. I love Manhattan. He loves Walden Pond. But we share Greek views. And he likes me. He writes this about me. We ought to rejoice greatly in Walt Whitman. How they must shudder when they read him. He's awfully good. Not everybody likes me.
Lascivious.
Vulgar.
Skunk.
Nay, absolutely beastly. The author should be sent to a lunatic asylum.
Tedious.